In this video, we're going to continue spicing up the wave part by adding some shadings, a particle that shows you the way, and some more random props and obstacles to make it feel less empty. But what I kind of want to do is add these shadows. We're going to experiment with that, but as you guys can see, this has the same, angle of the slope, so we can't really do that. So what I'm thinking of is kind of skewing this like that, so that we have a more... But before we do that, I'm actually going to copy and paste it so that we don't have to get around any buggy stuff. So we're going to do this, and then we're going to skew it. See how that's going to look. Maybe if we add a shadow like that. Yes, this actually looks pretty good. And the shadow is actually going to go from that specific point. And this way we can just copy and paste that. And it just adds so much to it. I absolutely love adding shadows to my levels. So this one should have a bit of a steeper one, maybe something like that, like a bit more steep, a bit less steep than the actual slope. This way it just feels right? And now we're just gonna have to fill this in, and it's not gonna look that great because the opacity is gonna be a bit weird. Ah, actually I got it. This doesn't, you can't see that it's two objects, which is just looks so clean. This looks so good. So you guys just add small details. You just have to know which details to add into your level to make it look cool. And the only way to know which one it is, just experiment. Just go ahead and try different things. Try different effects, try different objects. And sometimes the good thing takes a long time to figure out, but it may be just very few objects. Because as you guys can see, this whole shadow in this part is like, I don't know, like 20, like 50 objects at most. And it adds so much depth to the level. It just makes it great. Honestly, awesome looking. We're doing excellent progress. And if you've made it so far, W specifically to you, my boy. Nice, good job. So now you guys can see that we added arrows over there at the slopes, but in here there's nothing going on, and it's just kind of lame. And that doesn't really matter because we're gonna add more stuff to it later, but for now we're just gonna keep it as it is. And what I'm thinking of is kind of just yoinking. I'm gonna copy this part to I'm gonna copy it to there because this one actually didn't have a brother, which is not that very cool. So giving it a nice brother like that should be a charity work or something. I don't really know. But yeah, I just connect these guys and it should look smooth as flipping heck. So this is awesome. Look at the previous part to see if there's anything similar that we can add into our parts. And I kind of feel like I'm gonna add a particle, like a very like a jump indicator particle, you can call it. Or what you could do is you can add these ones, which you can really choose which one you want to do. Let me see. So which one would fit better? I mean, we can't really do any curvy movements in here because it doesn't make that much sense. So I'm actually thinking of going for this particle because you can add a little bit more to it. And the way we're going to copy this entire thing is by selecting at least 2 keyframes and also all of this particle, and then selecting the keyframe, this alpha, and this alpha, and the alpha at the very beginning for 45. So we have selected basically everything that has to do with this animation and with that particle. Let me see if there's anything else. There really isn't, so I'm just going to copy and paste. Oh, actually we can't do that because the keyframing system, you can't copy and paste a keyframing system, because as you guys remember, you can't copy keyframing system because if you copy and paste it, it's just going to pretend like it's a new keyframe. So what we're going to do is we're going to instead copy everything but the keyframes. So we're going to move this one over there. We're going to move that like that. Copy 45, of course, 45 and 45. And now like that, we want to Control C, or you can click on this copy button and then paste in here. And with that, we should have this over here. Just make sure you click on this one and then build helper. This way it assigns new group IDs to those things. And now what's going to happen is that if you click on this keyframe, we're going to see that it still has the animation group ID of 44, which is actually the animation of the previous one. But because the newly copy and pasted objects didn't have that keyframe. The game didn't really know that there was something new because we didn't copy those, right? The game doesn't know. So we have to, of course, first of all, bring this keyframe to where it was. Otherwise, it's going to break a lot of things. And second of all, we're going to add a new path in here, of course, because this is not going to have the same path as the ship part. So step number one, put the particle right on top of these guys so that the keyframe is right in the same position as those ones. And we're gonna give our keyframe a new group ID of 61. We're gonna copy and paste it and kind of move it like that. And then we're gonna add, instead of 44, 61. And if we save the level quickly, save doesn't really have to do with this effect, but just so we don't lose any progress, you guys are gonna see that it's gonna start moving, which is just perfect, exactly what we want. And what I'm gonna do is I'm actually just gonna move these guys with, I'm kind of gonna make them be right in the center because I just love it when they move in the center. It just looks so smooth. And maybe this one should be like, maybe a bit like so. And this one should be, okay, this one is a bit, okay, don't add that many keyframes. You don't need these guys. Just do maybe something like so, and a bit like that, and copy and paste the next one. And in here, you can just go ahead and, you know, experiment with these. What I like to do is simply just this, like that, so that it's kind of spamming. And then you can do this. Just make sure that the angle is kind of correct like that, and then copy and paste, copy and paste, and copy and paste. And now you guys are going to see an issue, is that the particle is a bit too slow, and we're going to actually get to the settings of these guys. So we're going to select this keyframe. We're going to go to custom and select this keyframe so that we can select only keyframes, and we're going to select all of those keyframes. And then we're going to go to edit object, and we're going to make the duration a bit lower. So the duration is basically how long it should take between every keyframe, because we're selecting all the keyframes. And now, as you guys can see, it's going to go a lot faster. But in here, it's kind of going to go slow. And the reason for that is because we selected 0.4 or 0.37, and it's going to take exactly 0.37 seconds to go from here to here, and then 0.37 seconds from here to there, and so on. And as you guys can see, when you get to this part, from here to here, it's going to take 0.3 seconds, which is not good. So we want to make these guys go a little bit faster than that. And we're going to figure out what value is good. But what you can do is simply just approximate the difference between these guys. So that is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 blocks. So we want to divide that by 6 approximately. So 0.37 divided by 6 is, I don't know, it just puts any value in here that is a lot lower than 0.37. It doesn't really have to be perfect because this is just a indication, and it's still a bit too slow. So what we're going to do is, again, select these guys, make it lower. Maybe 0.09 should be good. And as you guys can see, this is now moving and it looks a lot greater. And make sure you move this one, this alpha that basically make the particle indications kind of disappear. Make it disappear a bit later. And what we're going to do is we're actually going to do something like that, so that before it disappears, it actually just keeps moving and pretending like the path is continuing. This way we have a smooth ending. And as you guys can see, the particle looks pretty cool. It is following the path perfectly. Nice. So now we can't use the same particle as previously. So we're actually going to change the color a bit. And the first step is to move the particles away and the keyframe away. So you have individual ones that you can set. And the first one is the color. We're going to change the color to maybe red. Let's see if red would look cool. So color 29 is actually not red. It's a rainbow red. So we're gonna select all of these guys, give them a new color of 32, make it blending, and then go kind of red or kind of purple. We're gonna go like, I'm gonna go pink. Let's see if pink would look cool. It doesn't look that great, so maybe a bit more pink and maybe a bit lighter. And actually, I'm not focusing on, I'm just focusing on the particle color. I'm not focusing on anything else. I know the movements are weird, and that's because the particles are basically moving like that, just like you put them in here, which is why it's always important to kind of put them all together in the end. But we're not yet in the end. Maybe making this one white would be a good idea. Let me see. This one would look cool. Yeah, that actually doesn't look that bad. Let me just overlap them together and see how that's gonna look. And yeah, white actually works. White works, and especially because of the arrows. So it kind of adds more atmosphere to the thing and looks great. So now we have changed the color. of the particle, but that's not enough because we still need to add. So for example, instead of using this one, we're gonna use, let me see. So which one is come fancy? I'm gonna use something that resembles the wave. So maybe a rectangle would look pretty cool. And these ones could stay the same, but I'm just gonna add a bit more of this one, which basically make them kind of rotate slightly like that. And for these ones, I'm gonna go with the same thing. I'm gonna make them rotate a bit. And these ones are going to have a bit of a higher lifetime and a bit more particles. So this way they last a bit longer than the other particles. And we're going to move everything to its place. And with that, we have a nice indications for where we're going to go. That is awesome. That is beautiful looking. And yeah, we have added indications, which is awesome. And what we're going to do now is we're actually going to move this one a bit like that so that it doesn't feel weird. You know, we don't want to have any unsmooth things. And this one is actually a bit too fast. So I'm just going to go ahead and change it to maybe 0.42 because the distance in here is much longer than this one. Not much, but just slightly, which is why we want to change the value just to make sure it just looks a lot better like that. Exactly. And this is where we get to the spam part, my dudes. And the spam part, I'm not going to decorate it at all. What I'm going to do is I'm going to simply decorate it using effects. So there isn't going to be any block design or anything because it's an open space where we're just going to add effects and stuff. So great, this is looking awesome. And as you guys can see, this structure over there is invisible, and that is because we have made the object's color invisible. And we're going to bring this back to full opacity in there so that the player can see the blocks. And that is clean looking. And for the end, I'm kind of thinking of just making a basic platform that is completely like black with this outline, this one. This one, people use it at the end of their levels, and I think it's kind of cool because, yeah, black blocks are very, very cool. So we're just going to fill this in, of course, normally, and we're going to delete everything in here because these guys actually have a hitbox because they were added a lot earlier than you guys think. And maybe something like that would be pretty good. Like that is pretty nice, like so. And yeah, looks pretty good. Now, yeah, there's still like a sharp line and all of this stuff, but this is, we're going to get to the polishing parts where we're just going to fix all of these weird issues. So instead of fixing them now individually, we're just going to leave them all to the end so that you can, you know, leave these guys to the end and yeah, you fix them all at the end. So now the player doesn't really know that they're going to land in here. They can land in here. So what we're going to do is we're going to add a new particle. I'm going to make it blue to indicate that, haha, there is something in here that could actually help you land over there, right? So we're going to make it kind of cyan-ish, but make it blending, of course. This way, this surface looks a bit different. This way, the player knows, I can land in here without dying. And it's pretty cool to do because these guys look pretty nice. And I'm going to click F6 to see the invisible blocks, but we can't really see them for some reason. I don't know why. But we can see that there are D blocks in there. So we're going to actually copy the D blocks all the way there. And this particle that we added, the new one that has the color of, what color was it again? 33. We're going to select 33. So only these guys get selected. And we're going to go like that so that the player knows that this whole section is free. You can enter it if you want. And we're going to go over here and click on snap. And this way it's going to snap it to the platform that is below it. So it's going to take the exact same degree as that specific platform, which is kind of handy when it comes to these is it 26.5 degree slopes like these ones? I think that's how much they are. But yeah, now the player knows that this is safe, even though we haven't really added any text or anything, but we can get to that later in the video. Boom, like that, and yeah, I think this is working pretty good. So now I actually kind of want to add some random stuff like these ones on top of the platforms, and let me see if I can do it by doing this. By doing that, we're going to add this one, which honestly looks a bit bad. So maybe making it a bit smaller would work. And yeah, I think it would look cool if it's on like both sides like that. Yeah, that's not bad at all. And you can just copy and paste it and place it on these guys. And this should look a lot more professional. And this one, we're going to do one more And with that, we should see something like, actually, this kind of looks bad because we have warped it too many times. So we're not going to use that. So maybe over there, this one would fit pretty good. Just make sure it is on the perfect spot right there. And we're going to actually, this doesn't look that bad at all. I kind of like it. So we're going to add this one over there and that one over here, like so. And now we have created a beautiful part. And we're actually going to copy this whole thing and paste it in here. And you guys see that I already made a mistake. And if you guys can spot it, you guys are doing excellent. So we're going to copy and paste over there and bring these guys, copy and paste, and maybe bring like a little offset would also be always pretty nice to prevent any suspicions of copying and pasting, which we're of course not doing. So yeah, the mistake I did is that I actually copied this one, which has the group ID of 3. So what's gonna happen is that these guys have already moved up, which looks absolutely terrible. So we're gonna go to all of them and we're gonna get rid of the group ID, and this way they're not gonna move, and it's gonna look a lot cooler, a lot nicer, and a lot cleaner, and just much better. It's better for the eyes. All right. So what else can we add? Just think of anything that you think would make this look cooler. And I'm thinking of maybe copying and pasting these blocks, but they are a bit too, they might not work. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna try to, actually it's not gonna work. I was thinking of making something similar to this and then making it scale, but the reason why that doesn't work is because, remember, when we made this, all of these blocks were centered in the center. So that if we add this one, for example, on group 41, the scale is just going to look weird because each individual block in here is going to be scaled on its own. And yeah, this looks very weird. So what can we do to prevent this? We need to search for an object that looks like this one. And if you guys go over there, you guys should find this object. And it is literally a perfect object. And as you guys can see, if we rotate it like that, this is the same thing. Instead of 4 objects, it's 1, and it's also centered. So that is perfect. Literally exactly what we were looking for. So of course, we're going to unlink this and we're going to kind of make it, we're going to bring everything into its own position so that we can recreate the same thing over there. So we're going to need these two things, something similar to them. And what we could do is actually just use them and kind of scale them, see if they look cool. Yeah, maybe like that, they kind of look cool, I must say. Like that, and maybe a bit down, like so. Copy and paste it, just see if it looks cool, and it doesn't, because these guys don't have all 41. And now you guys can see that we have recreated the same thing, but it has a slopey, what is it called? A slopey structure, which is perfectly fitting for the wave part. So we're just gonna copy and paste them kind of like randomly here and there, and maybe up there as well, and down here as well, just to kind of give them like a sneaky look like that. And yeah, pretty nice. So we've added jump indications, we've added we actually have added a lot of different subjects, so that is very nice. And remember guys, we said that this whole structure should be moved up, so do not forget to do that by simply selecting everything you have over here and moving it as we promised, right? We don't want to break our promise. That would be not that very cool. So we want to select everything over there and in here as well. Boom, 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 boom. Give it a group ID of 62. And we're going to move, like we said, 62 to the top by 10. And we're going to make it a very smooth movement so that once you reach this point, it actually has already moved. And then we're going to move it down again in here like that, so that it kind of reaches like that. And as you can see, now the platform is slowly going to move up and then down again. And the path doesn't make that much sense anymore, so we're going to actually move these guys upwards by a few pixels. And this way, this not jump indications, this wave indicators should make a lot more sense. And nice, we have made ourselves a cool, nice little something, right? So we're gonna try to copy and paste these guys to see if they look good on the wave part, because I kind of like having these straight things on a very, what do you want to call it, like a sloppy or a wavy kind of structure. This way they just look better. I don't know why, but I think they do. So we're just going to copy and paste it in here. And you guys will see that this whole level is going to feel like it's too much copy and pasted. And we're going to fix that using effects, because effects add a lot to the level and can actually remove the factor of making the level look too copy and paste it. So now we have something like this, and it just looks a bit better. I don't know, I just kind of feel like adding these pillars will always add cool atmosphere to your level, which is why I always do that. Just make sure you don't see any like these weird edges over there, and even if the block goes up or down, you should not be able to see that. And now it's time for the spam. And all right, we have a really nice looking wave part. So what we're gonna do next is we're gonna move to the effects, and then we're gonna polish the level. We're gonna add a bit of background stuff and all this stuff, and we're gonna fix some gameplay elements. We're just gonna make this level finished. The finishing touches are actually very important. So yeah, there were also a bunch of effects that I wanted to add but didn't. But yeah, we're gonna get into that in the next few episodes. I will see you guys there.